What is up, YouTube? Welcome back. Aeneas here. We got some more spoilers or card previews for the Brothers War today. This is part 3, basically, of the series. And yeah, we got a chance to look at some cards that I think are strong and will potentially see play in Standard or Historic. And I'll try to outline kind of the archetypes I think they might fit into. And yeah, maybe new decks that might come up or things like that that might surface because of these new cards. And then next week, I will have the 5 new brews for the Brothers War, and so you can look forward to videos of that on my channel. And yeah, hope you enjoy. So let's get right into it. The first card that we're looking at today is Mishra's Research Desk. So this is a 1 mana artifact, which 1 mana artifact is always a good cost for an artifact. That usually implies it might be able to be playable in Historic or Pioneer or Legacy or things like that. Um, but let's read the effect of this card. So for 1 and a tap, and sacrifice this card, then you exile the top 2 cards of your library, choose one of them, and until end of the next turn, you may play that card. So it's kind of like a light up the stage. A little bit. Not as good as that, of course, but similar effect. You look at the top 2, you choose one, and you have kind of 2 turns to cast it because you have this turn and next turn to cast it. So that's pretty good that already that it gives you 2 turns to try to use it. And then it has an unearth effect for 1 and a red, where this comes in with haste, and basically you have to use it right away or else it's going to get exiled. So when you want to bring it back, it's going to basically cost you 1 red and another 1 to use it. So 3 mana to get you a card, and the initial one is basically kind of 2 mana to get you a card out of the top 2 selection. I think it's fair on its own, so if in total that's about 5 mana, it's split up over time, so that gives it a little bit more flexibility. Normally you wouldn't want to you would pay around 3 mana for 2 cards in blue, maybe sometimes a little bit more than that. So this gives you some extra card selection, so it's kind of like a memory deluge over time, spread out over time, so that makes it a little bit better. So I think that's means this is pretty good. The way I think this will see play is if we see some sort of decks that need artifacts and need cheap artifacts, and in that case, this card will be much better than it is just on the surface. Maybe the Onicole Anvil deck will want this. They have the Synthesizer, which is maybe better than this, but this is a little bit more flexible than that one. So there's a bit of a trade-off there. We'll see. We'll see. Definitely a good card and a 1 mana artifact, like I said. So if there's something that needs an artifact on turn 2, you could play this on 1 and then have something that benefits from it on turn 2. I think there might be a few things that say like get something when there's an artifact on the field. So yeah, maybe could be potentially playable in Standard, and we'll see. So, and if you have some weird colorless deck in Historic or something and you need some extra card draw, maybe this could be part of that. Not sure, but yeah. All right, so let's move on to the next one. This one is Muriel Shield of Argive. It's a 3 and a white, and the stats is a 3/4. The text on the card says, during your turn, your opponents cannot cast spells or activate abilities of artifacts, creatures, or enchantments. So basically, they can't do anything on your turn. Yeah, so it just shuts down everything on your turn. So it's almost like Teferi 3 used to play like, where it's said that people can't cast instants on your turn. So this actually just says they can't cast anything and they can't activate abilities. So that's pretty crazy. So basically, if you don't kill it on their yeah, I guess you have to kill it on your turn. So they play this on 4. As soon as it resolves, you can't cast anything. So that's pretty crazy. And then there's more text on the card. Whenever Mariel Shield of Argive attacks, create X 1/1 colorless soldier artifact creature tokens. So they're soldiers and they're artifacts, which both have synergies in this set, and some in the previous set as well. So that's pretty relevant. And where X is the number of soldiers you control, and Muriel is also a soldier. So at least you're always going to be making 1/1/1 when you attack, and every time you attack, you'll be making more and more 1/1s. So first turn 1/1/1, then 2/1/1s, 3/1s. And if you already have some creatures that you played on turn 2 and 3, this is going to do even more. Uh, and just the fact that it shuts off any play on your turn is huge. So you can play it pretty safely on 4. They have to have an answer on their turn immediately to deal with this. So yeah, I think it's a pretty scary card. We saw Adeline get a lot of play. Now that is a little bit better in terms of generating value when it first comes in, but I still think this is a really solid card in like a white aggressive or blue-white soldiers deck, which I think is going to be a thing in the next set. They pushed the soldiers pretty hard, so I think it's very likely to be a deck. All right, let's keep going. Next one, No One Left Behind. So this is a resurrection spell, but it's a very flexible one. So it makes me think that it's possible to see some play. A lot of times these 5-mana ones don't really see any play. But it says, it's a 4 and a black. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. However, it also says this spell costs 3 less to cast if it targets a creature with mana value 3 or less. So you can bring back a 1 mana, 2 mana, or 3 mana creature from your graveyard for 2 mana, 1 and a black, or a bigger creature for 5 mana. So I think this could see play in some sort of mid-range black-based deck where you might bring back some 3-drop, or late game you might want to bring back like a Shieldred or something else, 5-drop or something like that. Yeah, not sure. I think that they're trying to push like a green-black graveyard synergy type deck where you want to mill stuff into your graveyard and bring it back. So possibly that would fit in there. And it could fit into either end of the curve, 3 mana or 5 mana. So yeah, I guess if that deck's a thing, this card will be played. So we'll see. All right, next one, Obliterating Bolt, 1 in a red. Lava Coil much, anyone? But this is just a better Lava Coil. So it deals 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker. And if a creature or a planeswalker would die this turn, exile it instead. So yeah, just a 4 mana, kill anything, exile it. Pretty strong. Yeah, I mean, I think we were missing a 4 damage spell for red, so I guess that's good, but it's gonna kill a lot of things. So guess it doesn't kill Shieldred though. Shieldred has 5 toughness. That's one thing, but it will help get rid of like lilies and other planeswalkers that might be sticking around. Oh, cool. So this one I included. I'm not sold on this one completely, but I know that there were things like Ob Nixilis running around, so that's why I included this one. So it's 2 colorless and 2 green pips for a 4/4 creature called Obstinate Baloth. And when Obstinate Baloth enters the battlefield, you gain 4 life. So that's alright. 4/4 for 4, gain 4 life. Yeah, it's good for draft. But it says if a spell or ability an opponent controls causes you to discard Obstinate Baloth, put it onto the battlefield instead of into your graveyard. So it's kind of a discard protection spell. And so if Liliana comes down, does +1, makes you discard something, you discard this card, and you get it on the battlefield for free. They basically give you a free creature. So it's kind of like a Nullhide Ferox that we had a while back, though that one was much stronger than this, I must admit. But I think with Ob Nixilis and Liliana seeing quite a lot of play in current standard, this could be like a sideboard card, or it could be a main deck card in a mono green deck. If those decks are still really prevalent, yeah, I could see this being in there. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It depends on how the meta shifts, but looks interesting nonetheless. All right, the next card is one that I particularly am excited about. One with the Multiverse. So this is 6 blue blue, so 8 mana, pretty expensive. It's an enchantment. It says you may look at the top card of your library at any time, and you may play lands and cast spells from the top of your library. Nice. Once during each of your turn, you may cast a spell from your hand or the top of your library without paying its cost. Um, yeah, that's pretty crazy. I didn't actually, when I first read it, I didn't notice it said from your hand also. So it's kind of like an omniscience for 8 mana, but you only get to do it uh, once per turn, and it's only on your turn. So uh, I think it's still a really strong card, and especially if these power stones end up being useful and you get to ramp a little bit, getting to this 8 mana might not be that crazy. And getting free lands and spells, like you can play as many, you get to basically play one spell and one land off the top of your deck for free every turn. And potentially you can do more, you can keep playing more, but you should have to pay mana for the rest. So turn after you play this is going to be solid. And even the turn you play it, potentially, you can cast one thing for free, so it kind of gets its value back. Yeah, I think it's a good card. As long as aggro is not like the super king of the format, this card's going to be good. All right, next card is a black card, 4 and a black, Overwhelming Remorse. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature card in your graveyard. Exile target creature or planeswalker. This one seems like an okay removal in the right deck. That's why I brought it up. It's instant, so could be good in a mid-range deck, probably, where you have a decent amount of creatures that are dying, and then this gets discounted, maybe eventually becomes a 1 mana exile target creature planeswalker. It's also exile, that's the other key thing I really liked about this. We don't have a lot of exile in the format, so being able to exile like a 6 mana, a 6 loyalty Lily, or what other, I mean, Underdog, of course. I'm trying to think, there's some planeswalker that you really have to exile. Maybe not, but there are creatures that are tough to get rid of, like the Titan of Industry and stuff like that. So I think the exile is relevant, and I think if you have deck with creatures, maybe deck with self-mill, then this card could be pretty good. So I'm looking forward to seeing people play with this one. All right, the next card is Painful Quandary. It's 3 black black. A lot of really strong black cards. I think Wizards might have gone a little too far. They were all in the green the last years, and then now they're all into black. I'm not sure what they're doing, but I like black, but that's a lot of powerful black cards. We'll see. Maybe Dimir will be strong now. Who knows? All right, so Painful Quandary, 3 and a black black. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, that player loses 5 life unless they discard a card. So any spell they cast, they will lose 5 life unless they discard a card. It's a very powerful effect. As long as this doesn't get destroyed, and there's not a whole lot of enchantment removal floating around the format right now, so I think there's a good chance it won't get destroyed. Yeah, the only other question is, you play it, and it doesn't, oh, excuse me, it doesn't really do anything when you first play it. I mean, obviously, it kind of stops the opponent from wanting to play more cards because they will have to have this negative effect. So I think if you could like sweep the board on turn 4, then play this on turn 5, like with a clean board, you would be really set because they can't cast things or they're just gonna start dying. So yeah, maybe this could be like a control finisher, where you basically lock your opponent from playing at all, and you just want to like get this down and make sure all the creatures are dead that are on the board, so that yeah, you win because they can't cast anything. Yeah, I mean it's a strong card. It's a really strong card. So I think if there's a control shell that can make it work, then this will be a great include in there. All right, shoot, this one is in Japanese. So see, hopefully I can remember what it says. 5 mana for 4/6, and it says that I know that the 4 mana part is to make a 1/1 artifact creature token, and I think that it says if you have a certain number of creatures, yeah, 2 creatures, then control. Okay, I can't remember. Shoot. Okay, I'm pulling it up real quick. Pulling it up. All right, so it says at the beginning of your ends. Okay. Draw a card. Draw a card. That's what it is. If you control 2 or more other creatures, draw a card. Okay. So 5 mana, 4/6, that lets you create 1/1 artifact creature tokens, and if you have at least 2 other creatures, you draw a card every end step. So just a huge value engine basically. The stats on it are not bad. 5 mana for 4/6, not bad, not great, but not bad. And basically, you can just sink all your mana in this, make tokens. You're drawing cards for free, and on top of that, it has an unearth effect, which not that relevant, but just to have it on top of everything, that's kind of crazy. So for 2 and a white, you can bring it back for 1 turn with haste until it gets sacrificed. And then, if you unearth it, you can probably potentially draw a card off of it if you have other creatures, or you just swing in with a hasty 4/6 to finish the game, something like that, So it's pretty strong. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't play this in a deck, like, especially if there's some sort of white mid-rangey deck. It's just going to draw you cards for free most of the time, so yeah, it seems good. It's going to see play for sure. So yeah, that's a chase mythic from the set for sure. All right, this one card is probably a meme, a little bit of a meme. So Portal to Phyrexia, 9 mana. I don't really think that's realistic unless there's some sort of really good ramp in the set. We have all those Power Stones, and there's even a card that lets you sack a creature to get you some colorless mana. So maybe there's something there, but anyway, let's read the card. 9 mana. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices 3 creatures. So 9 mana, kill 3 creatures. Then at the beginning of your next upkeep, put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control, and it's a Phyrexian in addition to its other types. So comes down, kills 3 things, and then every turn at the beginning of your turn, you will get a free creature onto the battlefield. So every turn, it's generating new value. So that's a lot of good stuff for 9 mana, but it's 9 mana, so most likely you'll have lost the game by the time you get it down. But if there's some way to get ramp, this could be a nice payoff for your ramp in this kind of like an Ugin almost. So it's like clearing the board and gonna generate you value on top of that. So yeah, we'll see. Maybe you can make some artifact ramp deck. All right, Power Stone Fracture. This is a white, colorless and a black, and it's kind of like a Village Rites, sort of, or whatever the other one is that used to give you a treasure. But anyway, you can sacrifice an artifact or a creature as you cast it, and when you do, destroy a creature or planeswalker. So it's a removal that's 2 mana, requires you to sack an artifact or a creature, and destroys a creature or planeswalker. I don't think it's that good, but since I know there's going to be a lot of these Power Stones, which a lot of decks don't care that much about, and I know that Unicol Anvil is a deck that wants you to sack artifacts, I think this could fit in that deck if they need that removal. They already have Voltage Surge, so maybe this is unnecessary, but if they're having trouble killing big things, this could be another thing that they can run to help with that. So yeah, that's why I included it. All right, next one is Pyrrhic Blast, 3 in a red. I don't really think this card is that great, but people were hyping it up a lot. So anyway, let's read it. It's an instant. As an additional cost to cast this, sacrifice a creature, and then it says it deals damage equal to the creature's power to any target, so even the opponent's face, and then you draw a card. So drawing a card worth 1.5 mana, 2 mana, and then sack a creature and deal some damage. Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I think a lot of times this is just gonna be like deal 3 damage, draw a card, kill your own creature. So, uh, I don't really see it being that great, but people seem to think it's gonna be good, so we'll see. Maybe you can have like a 9/1 creature and deal 9 to someone's face. I don't know. We'll see, but I'm not a big fan. All right. Sahili Filigree Master, 2 and a blue red. The image gallery from this was so horrible. But it's a 3 loyalty planeswalker with a +1. It says scry 1, and you may tap an untapped artifact you control. If you do, draw a card. So it has a way to draw cards if you have artifacts. And -2, create 2 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature tokens with flying, and they gain haste until end of turn. Don't know why it needs haste, but they have haste. So this seems quite good. -2, you get 2 creatures to defend it. Maybe take down the enemy's Liliana. They can't really sack it with Liliana either. And then if any of those Thopters live, you can start generating card advantage. So yeah, this might be good enough to make like a blue-red artifact deck a thing. Maybe it doesn't even need to have artifacts. You just create them with Sahili and use that to draw your cards. Seems good. I think it could be in most blue-red decks, to be honest. All right, next one, Sardian Cliff Stomper. This one, yeah, we'll see about this one. It's a 1 and a red, 2 mana for a 0/4. So why are you bringing up a 0/4, Aeneas? That's, yeah. But it says as long as it's your turn and you control 4 or more mountains, Sardian Cliff Stomper gets +X, where X is the number of mountains you control. So you're playing mono red. This is my thought. You know, it may not pan out. You're playing mono red. You play this on turn 3 with another 1-drop, something like that. Then turn 4, you drop your 4th mountain. Now it turns on, it becomes a 4/4, and you're dealing massive damage for 2 mana investment. So that's where I could see it being possibly good, a mono red aggro list. We used to have a mono white deck that had an 0/3 for 1 mana, I think, that would turn on like pretty late in the game and become a 3/3. This is a little bit better and worse in some ways, because this one will keep growing and bigger, and it turns on turn 4 rather than the other one was like turns 7 or 8. So yeah, I think it could see some play. Could be good enough, but time will tell, I suppose. Okay, next one, Siege Veteran. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on a target creature you control. Luminarch Aspirant, anyone? This is pretty much the same thing. And then on top of that, whenever another non-token soldier you control dies, create a 1/1 colorless soldier artifact creature token. So not only does it give you counters every turn and beginning of your combat, it also generates you creature tokens that are soldiers. So you still have the synergy. That's crazy. So I think this is, I mean, it's in the 3 mana slot. That's the literally only downside of this card. But this card is bonkers, bonanzas, broken. Yeah, it's gonna be a menace. Like, it's a sweeper protection. It's getting bigger and bigger every turn, and yeah, it's just crazy. This card is crazy. So mono white might be super strong after that. Crazy. All right. Simian Simulacrum, 3 mana for a 2/1. Enters the battlefield, put 2 +1/+1 counters on a target creature you control. So you can put it on this creature. So if you do that, then this is a 4/3 for 3 mana, which is not bad stats. And unearth for 2 green. So it comes in with haste, and it will get sacrificed at the end of the turn. But when it comes in, you get to put those 2 counters somewhere again. So you can put it on a different creature that's not going to die, to give it value, or to swing for lethal or something like that. So this, I think this will be a staple if mono green is the thing. It might be even good enough to put in like a green-red Gruul type deck or a Naya deck or something like that. because it's pretty easy to cast for the most part. So yeah, seems really good. All right, Skitter Beam Battalion. I think we're almost at the end of the ones we're going to cover for today, but bear with me. So Skitter Beam Battalion, it's a 9 mana normally, haste, trample, 4/4. So that seems horrible, right? But when it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, create 2 tokens that are copies of it. So if you cast it for 9, you get 12 damage worth of power with haste and trample. So that could just win you the game right there. 12 damage, haste, trample. You can also cast it for 3 red, and you get 3 2/2s with haste and trample instead. So six amount of power with haste and trample. That still seems pretty good. I mean, if you just imagine like 3 robbers of the rich swinging in with haste, turn 5, most people are not going to have enough blockers for that. Maybe you could also have some buffs on the battlefield already, like some anthem effects or something. So I definitely think there's ways you could make use of this, and it seems pretty good as like a finisher card. All right, yeah, okay, let's keep going. We got a few more to go through. Sky Strike Officer, 2 and a blue. It's flying for a 2/3. Whenever it attacks, create a 1/1 colorless soldier artifact creature token. So we got the soldier, we got the artifact synergy. It's flying, decent stats, 3 mana. And when you tap 3 untapped soldiers you control, draw a card. So it also can immediately draw you some cards when it comes in if you have a battlefield. So I think this is another one of those cards that's pushing the soldier synergy in blue-white and seems quite good. I think it's gonna make the cut, so yeah. All right, our Arbalist Engineers. It's a 3 mana 2/2 in rule colors 1 red and green. And when it enters the battlefield, choose 1, deals 1 damage to any target, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. It gains trample and haste until end of turn, or create a tapped Power Stone token. I think this is alright. I mean, it could potentially just be a 3/3 with haste and trample. But it has some upsides with getting artifacts. So if you have like an Artifact Matters deck, that could be really good. 1 damage could kill off some enemy creature. So flexibility is nice. It's kind of like a command on a creature, command on a stick, so to speak. So yeah, we'll see. I think it'll be good in draft. If nothing else, it'll be good in draft, and maybe good enough in some sort of rule deck. All right, the last one we're talking about. Mechanized Warfare, 1 in a red enchantment. Not sure about this one either, but I thought it was interesting. It's so it's enchantment, so it's not easy to remove. If a red source or an artifact source you control would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent opponent controls, it deals that much +1 instead. So artifact or red. So we had Torbrand back in Throne of Eldraine, and it did 2/2 instead, and it was really broken. This is a +1, a little bit weaker, but it also comes in a turn sooner, and it's an enchantment, so it's harder to remove. So I'm saying potentially could be really good. Could even combo with the one we looked at earlier, which was the hasty 2/2s. So each of those would be dealing 3 damage instead. They have trample and stuff, so yeah, we'll see. I think if there's a mono red deck, this might be good in there. Could be good as a sideboard card for that, but definitely interesting. Something we haven't had for a while, so cool card, and I like to see them exploring the design space a little bit more. All right, that's gonna be it for the spoilers for today. There's still a lot more to talk about with the set, to be honest. I don't know what to tell you guys, but I'm looking through these cards. Normally, it's like, there's just a few here or there that I really like. This time, I feel like there's over 100 cards that I think are potentially good and will probably see play. So we might have us another Throne of Eldraine scene on our hands, or maybe it's just the power level standard is kind of low, besides like mono black right now. So seeing all these like nice cards with good synergy gives me a lot of hope for this new set. So looking forward to it. So excited about it. But that'll be it for today. So until next time, see ya.